we are going to be talking about beans and balloons. All right, beans and balloons. Here's what I want you to do is look at your neighbor and say beans. All right, look at the other person, your second choice, the one you don't like as much. Make this super awkward and say balloons, okay? Also apologize to them, okay? So, beans and balloons, beans and balloons. Here's the deal. How many people here, when you were a kid, like hard candy was life? Let me see you, like candy in general was life. Anybody, any candy fanatics out there? Okay. So when I was growing up, I wasn't a big candy person. My mom didn't let us have hard candy like Jolly Ranchers and that kind of thing. I was like 17, and she'd say, Austin, no, you can't have that Jolly Rancher, right? Because she was super protective, and we couldn't eat hard candies. So in my family, instead of eating candies or gummy worms or all this stuff that I love now, instead what we would do is eat all the meat and taters we possibly could. You know what's included in meat and taters? Cornbread. Yes, I'm telling you. And the way Mama did it is she would take 3 or 4 cups of sugar or just the whole bag and just dump it in there with some cornmeal, mix that baby up, and you got cornbread. Anybody else's mom make cornbread the right way, all right? That's the only way you make it. If your cornbread is not sweet, it is not cornbread, it is cardboard, okay? Cornbread. So we would have cornbread, and I'm telling you, like, it should be classified as like diabetic cake. Like, immediately eat it, immediately get diabetes, like no turning back, and it's worth it, okay? And so we had that instead of candy. We also, at meals, we had to eat green beans. Anybody like green beans? All right, so we got some green bean lovers out there now. I like green beans as an adult. I didn't like them as a kid, but I liked Mama's green beans. My mom's green beans are not just normal green beans. You may have your green beans, you put some bacon in them, some salt and pepper or whatever. Mama said, forget the bacon, salt, and pepper, 2 cups of sugar. Telling you, I should be 400 pounds, okay? And so she just dump all the sugar in the world, mix that baby up, and I'm telling you, she'd serve it to us. Here's your well-balanced meal, Austin. Mashed potatoes, fried chicken, sugar beans. I'm talking these beans, green beans, were so sweet and so sugary that, like, as you're chewing, you can hear your teeth squeaking. I'm telling you, that is real life. Like, my teeth squeak when I eat my mom's green beans. And they are that sugary, they are that sweet. The cornbread, you should just put icing on top and just serve it as a dessert. In fact, we had some dinner party hosts over one time. I didn't tell this in the first service, but I see somebody. We had some dinner party hosts, and you should sign up for a dinner party, okay? All you people that return in August. The host, the leaders, came over to Mom's house, and she cooked a big spread, and she had green beans. Well, there was someone there that was diabetic, and she didn't know. And, like, halfway through the meal, we see this man, and he's, like, pale as a ghost, like, needs some insulin or something because he'd eaten a bunch of these green beans. So, anyway, they're deadly, okay? Deadly good. Right, Noah? You know all about that, right? Almost died. So, anyway, my mom made all this stuff, and it's awesome, and we didn't eat candy, but we had candied green beans and candied cornbread, and so that was how we got our candy. Now, one thing I did fall in love with as a kid, and I love to this day so much, is my favorite dessert, is chocolate cake with chocolate ice cream. Yeah. We're about to start preaching. Like, y'all are amening more now than you will the rest of the sermon, okay? Let me tell you. Chocolate cake. Now, the only way you can really have chocolate cake, if you're not doing it this way, like, you can come to the altar and get right with God today, okay? What you got to do before you put your icing on, and I've never made a cake before, this is just how Mom does it, is you get a fork and you poke holes all in that baby and you just murder it, right? And then you take some sweetened condensed milk and you pour it all over. Let that seep down. Anybody else do that? All right. Listen, y'all can get saved today. All right, it's going to be okay. And you can start making your cake this way, and I promise you, you'll like it a lot more, all right? Makes it all moist and good. Moist. Makes it awesome. Then you put your icing on top. It's amazing. I love chocolate cake. I don't like pie very much. Here's why. Because you can have like 10 pies in front of you, and they all have the same crust on top, and you have no idea what they're filled with. You can have a blueberry pie, strawberry pie, blackberry pie, mystery pie, like from The Help, and like you don't even know. Because you can't see inside the pie, right? I had a professor in college, he used to say, my favorite kind of pie is cake. Like be cake or be nothing, right? Like be cake, all right? And so cake is my favorite. What I hate, what will set me off and I will have a bad day is if I see a piece of chocolate cake and I'm getting ready to take a bite out of that cake and I take a bite and I taste a nut. Like don't put nuts in cake, all right? Don't put nuts in brownies. That just makes my whole day, just ruins my whole day. Like I just need sweetened condensed milk and chocolate icing, okay? And that's kind of how I am. Now I like my desserts, I like my food. I like to look at it and know what I'm getting. Like to look at it on the outside, all right, that's chocolate cake. I'm going to take a bite, and it's going to taste like chocolate cake. All right, that's a brownie. I'm going to take a bite. That's going to taste like a brownie. That's what I like in my life. Now, there's something very, very funny about candy that I really dislike. It's the mystery flavor of Airheads. Don't like it. Like, be the blue kind or be nothing. Right? Or the suckers you get at the bank, when they're the mystery ones, that's just all the leftovers because people only want the blue kind of sucker. Nobody wants any other flavor, so then they just wrap it up and try to make it all cool. Oh, mystery. Like, no, okay? And then the worst of the worst, and I'm about to get off my soapbox, I promise. The worst of the worst is banana Laffy Taffy. Somebody laughed all the way to the bank when they were cashing that check and said, ha, they'll buy anything. Banana? No, like that is the worst. Like people won't eat bananas by themselves. You got to cover it up with 10,000 vanilla wafers and pudding in order to have somebody eat a banana, right? Like most people don't like a banana. If you like bananas today, like you too can get saved, all right? Everybody's getting saved today. But like mystery flavor Laffy Taffies, if I bite into a banana, like day set off, boom, done, right? My reaction to that is going to be terrible. And this week, I was surfing through Amazon. I have Amazon Prime, which is not good. And I found something that's really funny that I'm really excited to share with y'all. And in the first service, a lot more people knew about it than I thought. I didn't know anybody knew about this. But before I tell you what this is, I'm going to need my two volunteers. Don, come on up here. And then I forgot who my other volunteer was. Oh, Joey. Yeah, y'all come on. Give it up for Don and Joey. Don and Joey. Now, Don was here first service, so he kind of knows what's happening. Joey, it's too late for you to back out. So here I've got some Bean Boozled jelly beans. Has anyone ever heard of Bean Boozled jelly beans? All right, I'm going to explain it to you. Have y'all had them before? Yes. Oh, man. Okay. All right. It's about to get. You know what? Hey, Sarah, why don't you come up here too? This is my wife, Sarah. You've never done Bean Boozled, have you? Okay, great. Okay, perfect. So here's the deal with Bean Boozled jelly beans. Bean Boozled jelly beans, they all look, there's 10 different colors, and there's 20 different flavors. So you can have a yellow jelly bean, and there's 2 different flavors of that. It's going to be either popcorn, buttered popcorn, or rotten egg. It's going to be toasted marshmallow or stink bug. Birthday cake or dirty dishwater. This is a good one. Chocolate pudding or canned dog food. And just for a time out for a second, because they do make the dog food look really tasty on commercials, right? I mean, you never know. The orange ones, peach or barf. Yeah, it's as bad as it sounds. Let's do another one. Coconut, which is bad enough in itself, or spoiled milk. Tutti Frutti, or I don't know how they got this into a flavor, stinky socks. Juicy pear or booger. And the last one, 2 more, berry blue or toothpaste, or strawberry banana smoothie, or dead fish. I really hope you get the dead fish, babe. That would be hilarious. Okay. I'm just kidding. That would be terrible. I would hear it all the way home. Okay. So I'm going to pick in here. I see a bunch of, we'll start off easy, okay? No, that's too easy. I don't want to do that. All right, we're going to go with the white ones, which are coconut and spoiled milk. All right, go ahead and pick one. You sure you want that one? Okay. All right. On the count of 3, we're all going to eat them, and we're going to see who gets Bean Boozled. Okay, here we go. Y'all ready? Or I'm going to count backwards because it's cooler. Okay? 3, 2, 1, go. Coconut. Where'd y'all get? Don? Okay. All right. All right, that's good. Let's see. Let's do another one. Don thrown up yet? Can't be anything worse than barf. I got barf in the first service, and I literally, the rest of the sermon, I was like waiting to barf. It was terrible. Okay. This one, I think, is birthday cake or dirty dishwater or stinky socks. I'm not sure. We're about to see. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. You good? Yeah. Tutti Frutti? Is that what you got? Yeah, bubblegum. Yeah. You got bubblegum? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Is this okay if I do a few more? Just pretend you're not there? Okay. Oh, man. I'm excited about this one. Oh, man. Okay, this one is strawberry banana smoothie or dead fish. Choose wisely. I swear if I get dead fish, this sermon is over. All right. Swallow. 3, 2, 1. Oh! You can't spit it out. I have it in my mouth. It's what? Oh my God. Oh, okay, get off the stage. Hurry. Woo, give it up for them. Oh my goodness. A stick of gum. Thank you. Hope it's not dead fish flavored. Oh my gosh. That literally tasted like a dead fish. I imagine a dead fish to taste. Like. Sorry, bear with me for a moment. Whew. I'm sweating everywhere, okay? Whew. So, I got Bean Boozled. Oh my gosh, that was terrible. So before I ever said which one of us got the dead fish, how many people here knew who got the dead fish? Anybody? Did anybody know by the reaction? Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, I knew immediately that I had a dead fish in my mouth, okay? Do not eat dead fish. That's terrible. Here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. Here's how Bean Boozled applies to my life. Here's how Bean Boozled applies to your life. Here's how Bean Boozled, I hope. Thank you, David. I hope. Here's how Bean Boozled can help to change our life. Is that every single one of us, just like these jelly beans, every single one of us has a filling of some sort. All of us are filled with something. You're filled with something. There's something inside of you that creates who you are. The stuff that comes out of you is a response from what's on the inside. Did you know that Scripture teaches that out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks? That when we start to say things and do things and act and react, our responses are determined directly by what we're filled with. As soon as we took a bite of those jelly beans, you knew who had the bad ones and who had the good ones. Because the feeling was going to determine the response. The feeling was going to determine the response. And the same is true with every single person here today. You may have walked in here today and you have a smile on your face and you're friendly to other people, but like you are hurting deep down. Like you feel so defeated in your life. You feel like you could never rise back up to the occasion because you've been put down so much in your life. And what you begin to discover in your life is that many times we don't even know ourselves. We don't even know what's inside of us until there's an opportunity, there's a circumstance, there's a situation that causes a reaction in us. Sometimes it takes a big circumstance to really see what we're made of, doesn't it? So sometimes it takes hitting a brick wall to really decide who you're going to serve and who your master is and what you're filled with. And today I want us to look at a story of Jesus, the reason that we're all here, right? I want us to look at the story of Jesus, the man who predicted and pulled off his own death and resurrection. That guy, I want to see how he is full of something. He was full of something. And I want us to see how it's interesting that Jesus is full right before he hits his circumstance. And on the other side of his circumstance, Jesus finds power to move forward. Because what many of us want, if we're completely honest, is we want the power before the problem. But what I'm here to tell you today is that many times the power is on the other side of the problem. That sometimes you're going through hell, you don't want to stand there. You need to keep walking through and trusting that God is right there with you no matter what. Come hell or high water, He's never leaving or forsaking you. He's right there with you through it all. Now I want us to look at this in Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4, verse number 1. Verse number 1 says this: Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, left the Jordan and was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, where for 40 days he was tempted by the devil. Now here's the deal. Here's the whole backstory of this, okay? Jesus is starting his earthly ministry, and Jesus is walking, and he's full of the Spirit. Jesus is completely full of the Spirit, and he's choosing to be full of the Spirit, and he's walking, and he's getting ready to move into temptation. He's getting ready to go into the temptation by Satan. And here's the deal. For 40 days and 40 nights, Jesus was fasting, and he had zero food. He had zero water, and he was fasting and praying, being full of the Spirit. And all during that time, Jesus is being tempted by Satan. He's being tempted by Satan. So Jesus rolls into the temptation, and he's physically exhausted because he's a man just like us. And we go 2 days without a Snickers bar, and we act a little bit crazy. And Jesus is going 40 days without anything and being tempted by Satan himself. And we have to realize what's going on here. He's being tempted. And in verse 14, we pick up right after his temptation. This is what it says about Jesus. Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Spirit. See, he moved into the temptation being full of the Spirit, and he walked out of the temptation with the power of the Spirit. And news about him spread through the whole countryside. Here's the deal. Jesus is walking into the desert to be tempted, to be tried, to go through a circumstance that he may not have wanted to go through, but he's walking into it choosing, I'm going to be full of the Spirit. And during the trial, during the temptation, he's walking through it, being full of the Spirit, and ultimately he comes out on the other side with the power of the Spirit. The truth of the matter is simply this, that the power is on the other side of your problem. The power is on the other side of your problem. And what I want us to understand today, as we're moving through this, is that our response reveals our feeling. Our response reveals our feeling. We learn more about ourselves in circumstances and trials that we didn't see coming than any other time in our life, don't we? Because we see what we're really made of. And today I want to use three illustrations to show three different types of people I believe are here today that are in our world today. Three different types of people. Beans and balloons. Beans and balloons. Here's the three different types of people. I'm going to use some balloons to illustrate this. This balloon I got here is unfilled, just kind of chilling, right? What I'm about to do is I'm about to fill this balloon up. Now, here's something that I loved about high school football is on the way home from games later in the season when it would be cold, we would put the windows up on the yellow school bus, right? And every single time, there was this one guy that would always scream when we had the windows up too long. Somebody put the windows down. I'm tired of breathing your breath. Tired of breathing your breath. Because when you're on a school bus, like you're just breathing, it's fogging up. Everybody's breathing breath. You know what I'm talking about? These balloons, they're filled with breath. Carbon monoxide, right? So I'm going to fill this up real quick. Man, that was a struggle bus. So here's the deal. These balloons are, blew this up by myself. Here's one of the things about this balloon, and balloons like this that you blow up yourself. They're just really sad. Like, if this balloon was a person, it would just be frowning, right? It's just kind of hanging there. Just hanging out. This balloon, here's the thing about this balloon. I don't need a source for this balloon. I don't have to go to the Dollar Tree to get the balloon filled up with helium and wait an hour for the little lady to scoot over there and do it, right? Like, she's always nice, but it takes forever. And I don't have to wait on anybody else. I got it in and of myself. I blew this baby up by myself, with myself, for myself. I don't need nobody else to blow this balloon up for me. I don't need any tools. I don't need anything else to get this balloon to where it is right now. Now here's what happens with this balloon. This balloon, when I throw it in the air, right? When I throw it in the air, what's going to happen to this balloon? That baby is going to come right back down. Now, here's what I could do. I could try this. This is a theory, right? I'm going to throw it in the air and watch it start to fall. But I'm going to tell it how good it can be and that it can be a helium balloon if it tries hard enough, right? All right, baby, come on. Float. You can do it. I believe in you. Be like your other brothers. Be like them. You can do it. Float, baby, float. Please. You're embarrassing me in front of all these people. Float. Okay? It's not going up again, all right? This balloon, no matter what I do with it, I can hit it up in the air. I can hit it this way. I can kick it. What's this balloon's default every single time? It's going to fall back to the ground every single time. This balloon does not get back up. It does not get back up. And what I am convinced of today in our world, in our area, in churches all over, and people that don't go to church, what I'm convinced of today is that there are so many people that have been defeated, they've been kicked, they've been thrown, they've been pushed around, they've been pushed over. So many people have been so defeated for so long that they never get back up. And what I'm convinced of today is that it's not because they don't want to. It's not because they're not trying hard. It's not because they can't muster up enough strength to get back on their feet. What I'm convinced of today is the reason that this balloon doesn't get back up, the reason this balloon stays on the ground is not because of the balloon. It's not because of this blue balloon. It's because of what this balloon is filled with. And what I'm convinced of today is that many people in our world, they're trying harder, they're doing more, they're trying to read and get all this knowledge, and they're trying to make themselves better, but they always end back up on the ground because they're filling themselves with what they can fill themselves with. Many of us find ourselves like this. You've tried all kinds of stuff yourself. You've tried everything. You've tried to fill yourself with something, but it's not quite enough. You just keep falling back. You may have a good family, you may have a good job, but there's something deep down inside you're trying to fill a void that's not being filled, and it's not your fault. It's not the balloon's fault. It's what you're being filled with, what you're trusting in that's making you stay down. Second type of balloon, and we're going to bring all this back around. The second type of balloon is one that I love. Johnny, why don't you come on up here real quick for this illustration. Who loves water balloons? All right, I love water balloons too. Now, here's the thing about water balloons. What is super annoying about them, it takes about 14 days to fill up enough water balloons for a 10-minute water balloon fight. All right, like we did a water balloon fight with the students last year, and literally me and a few volunteers, we were filling up water balloons like for days, and they were done in like 5 minutes. I kid you not. Like, it's so disappointing because the kids are like, "Where's the water balloons?" We're like, "It took us 40 hours this week," you know? So water balloons, here's the deal with water balloons. Water balloons are filled with something different. Now, Johnny, here's what I want you to do for me, if you don't mind. Put that on, that poncho, because I care about you. Water balloons are filled with something different than the other balloons. And what happens, come on over here real quick. What happens with a water balloon, when it hits someone, what happens? It explodes, right? Maybe you've never seen this before, so I'm going to show you, okay? Let's see. Can you flex or something, all right? Chill, bro, okay? Not that much flexing. Oh, you don't want to rip your shirt. Okay, all right. So here's the deal. Water balloons, when they hit somebody, they typically explode. We're gonna find out real quick. We're going to try this again. Come on, water balloon. Yeah! That a boy. Now, Johnny, I want you to stand here for just a second. When the water balloon hit Johnny, it exploded, right? But what the water balloon didn't do is the water balloon didn't just stay on itself. The water balloon didn't even just stay on Johnny. The water balloon exploded, and it hit everyone in proximity closest to it. And what happens, you can go ahead and start making your way down. What happens is that many of us, we're filled with stuff that when circumstances come in our life and we hit a wall and we explode, what happens is we start to hurt the people that are closest to us, don't we? We start to hurt the people that are closest to us. And what happens is many of us, we're filled with the wrong stuff. And so when we explode on other people, we're not just keeping it to ourselves. We're not just trying to be ourselves. We're not just trying to poor pitiful me, I can't ever beat this world. I'm just staying on the ground. No, like when you explode as a water balloon, you explode and you go all over the people closest to you. And what most happens with this is that people are angry and bitter, and what happens when they hit a circumstance or a wall, they take it out on everybody around them. And they're filled with the wrong stuff. They're filled with anger and bitterness and comparison, and that's not fair that they got that and I didn't. That's not fair that I lost my job, so I'm going to take it out on you this week. I had a bad day at work, so I'm going to come home and I'm going to take it out on you while you're just cooking dinner, minding your own business. You have no idea what happened in my life. I'm just going to take it out on you anyway. Right, guys? Filled with the wrong stuff. And many of us can find ourselves here, and it's good people, right? It's good people. All of us can drift towards one of these things where we just trust in ourselves, or we trust in our circumstances, because when you explode on other people, you're exploding because you don't like your circumstance. Because if work was going well, you wouldn't have screamed and cussed at your wife when you got home. And so what happens to many of us is we start to trust in ourselves, or we start to trust in our circumstances, and we see these things that are filling us, and they're changing the way we respond to people around us. But what I want us to see today is finally the last type of balloon. Last type of balloon, I've got it right over here. It's simply the helium balloons. Now, what happens to these helium balloons when you come over and you start to hit them? Stay down. What happens when these balloons are there and you're trying to hit them and circumstances are coming and trials are coming and you hit the whole helium tank off the stage? But guess what happens? They get right back up, right? Like, these things are so annoying, and you just keep hitting them, you keep hitting them, you keep hitting them, keep hitting them. And here's the reality, okay? Here's the reality, is that people in our world, our default is not this. It's not our default. You know what this signifies? This signifies people that are full of the Spirit of God. Here's the deal. This balloon is no different than the balloon I blew up with my own breath. It's no different than the balloon that we filled water with. It's no different at all. It's the same balloon. The difference is what it's filled with. The difference in your life and what you want your life to be is not you, because God only uses broken vessels. God doesn't come and say, give me the good stuff, give me the good balloon, give me the good person, give me the best of the best. God comes and says, I want to use broken people. I want to use messed up people. I want to use broken vessels. I want to use people that don't have it all figured out. And what he does is he takes your outer person, he takes who you are, and he fills you with the Spirit. And the difference in my life and your life is not the person that we're made up of, it's what we're filled with. And so many people in our world today are trying to fill themselves up with what they can do, and they're running dry. And it's just not quite enough. All of us have been there, right? Like, we've tried everything to be full and satisfied. And what we've learned over the course of our life, all of us as a human experience, is that we cannot fill ourselves by ourselves. And what some of us do is we get so angry about that, we turn to start trying to explode on everybody else. And so if my life sucks, I got to make sure that your life does too. And so I'm not going to just take myself down. I'm not just going to stay down by myself. I'm going to take you with me. But I want to give an alternate today, an alternative solution. What I believe Jesus is seeing in this passage, what happened to him, is Jesus chose, I am going to be full of the Spirit. And what happened is he went through circumstance, and instead of trying to fill himself, instead of trying to blame other people, Jesus was filled with the Spirit. And man, I'm going to be knocked down, and Satan's going to come and tempt me, and I'm going to do this, and this bad thing is going to come against me, and I'm going to die on the cross, and this circumstance that I can't control, and this person's going to say that, and Judas is going to betray me, and Peter is going to forsake me, and then these disciples are going to leave me, and he's not even going to believe I rose again until he sees my hands and the scars and all these things coming. You know what? I'm going to get back up. And all of us, we need to start to understand that it's not ourselves that makes us get back up. What it is the Spirit of God. And that if we can learn to walk in His steps, if we can learn to be filled with the Spirit, no matter what comes my way, I'm not going to give up. Not because of what I can do, but because of what God can do in and through me. Greater is He that's in me than he that's in the world. I'm not going to wait for somebody else to do it. I'm going to step forward. Nobody else is going. I'm going to step forward. I'm going to do it. No matter what comes my way, the circumstances, the trials, the bad doctor reports, the kids that are crazy, no matter what, when I'm knocked down, I'm not going to stay down because my God has given me a spirit of victory, not a spirit of fear. Our response. And here's what we learn finally from Jesus. Is that the power is on the other side of the problem, but also the filling, what you're filled with, what I'm filled with, is determined by the source. And that's elementary. Of course the filling is determined by the source, but this is so powerful for us. That many of us, we don't know why we're exploding. We don't know why we can't get up. We can't find the energy to get back up. That we keep getting defeated. We can't get back up. And I believe today, wholeheartedly, that many of us, the reason for these things is not because we don't have what it takes. It's not because God doesn't want to help us out. It's not because of those things. It's because our source is at the wrong well. Many of us, we're going to the wrong source and expecting the right solutions. And in order to get the right solutions, you've got to be at the right source. And the greatest source of all time is the one who kicked hell, death, and the grave wide open. The man, the God that said, I'm going to take your sins, I'm going to forgive your sins, I'm going to give you a new life. When your source is a man that gives new life, you start to live in new life. But if your source is yourself, all you got to show for yourself is yourself. If your source is your circumstances, you are going to hit a wall. All of us do. Every single one of us walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And it's hard to fear no evil if your source is not God. And so my question for myself, my question for you is simply this: what is your source? What is your source? Jesus' source was the Holy Spirit. That was His source. And He walked through the temptation. He came out the other side with power. What is your source? What is my source? Because as long as our source is something other than Jesus, we will always be longing for something more. Always. I know it, you know it. We all know it because we're all searching to find what our heart is searching for. What is your source? Because your source reveals your filling, and your filling determines your response. With heads bowed and eyes closed.